Hmm.
Hi, welcome back. So we talked about a simple appreciation of scale and perspective yesterday. And today, what I'm interested in following up, so the pastor is also a psychologist, and I think we're all of an age where we have that perspective that we know that a lot of the things that manifest come from childhood experiences. Jiva touched on it. And what I'm interested, Pastor, and obviously, confidential, so it's all generalized, but I'm interested in the sort of things that challenge people that you have to help. And then what we're going to try and do is find a way of framing that so that people that don't yet see it in themselves can relate to it. Does that make sense to you? So, looking at a psychological basis, Pastor, what sort of things do people that in your congregation, uh, childhood experiences, do you hear of? And then, what I'd like to do in the discussion is try and find a way of framing those stories so that people that don't yet recognize these cycles can go, I'm like that, or I see that.
Okay. Now, so some of the things that, okay, let's take, for example, the area of their work. Some people, as it is, lockdown and all that, it's making a lot work from home
Mm,
and they are not used to doing that. Well, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, some people had been experiencing that. But to be locked down for almost 3 months, where especially those who have young children who are, the living room is the daycare during the day, and the bedroom is the office space, and they're not really allowed to go out.
mm,
So everything is choked up, and the experience they're having, because everything is choked up, a day or two is okay. But when you now have to do that for 2 weeks consistently, that poses to be a challenge. And what starts happening to most people is that they start getting fed up,
mhm.
and a lot of things start creeping in. Suicidal attacks uh, comes in. And this is where it gets scary, where people all of a sudden, they are nice, they are okay now, and all of a sudden they make that drastic shift to now becoming suicidal, to now start having mental issues. And it's just because they are stuck in environments that uh, was unprecedented. They never saw themselves as being put in such a box. And again, the thinking to process what is going on makes it worse.
Mm.
They feel that their fundamental human rights is being taken away. They, they can't even process it in the right perspective that, okay, staying at home, you are saving the world by staying at home, things like that. They can't make a sense out of that. The processing is out of place.
So
So,
so what I'm looking at is so we've said that accepting this higher power, whatever you call it, and
mhm,
stepping back and looking at the beauty and taking responsibility for the relationship you have with yourself and
mhm,
whatever else you believe.
mhm,
There's a phrase in a religion, show me the child up to seven, I'll show you the man. Um, and so much happens to us in our childhood. So, for example, I was talking to you before we started recording. So, I was adopted as a child and I wasn't picked up in the orphanage for 9 months. And I only found out last year that it took a further year for my legs to start working. And I don't even remember it, but that has affected me in the way that essentially of 49 years of life, I've only spent 2 total in relationships, because for me, no one was there, so I know I never go looking for it.
Yeah.
How does that affect a marriage? Because that must be not an individual experience just of mine.
Yeah. Okay. Is that for Jiva of myself?
Hey, whoever wants to go for it.
Okay. All right. One of the things that, and Jiva is a very big fan of this, is that we need, as an individual, before you talk about marriage, as an individual, you need to be healed of those hurts in the past. Now, you may not see it as a hurt. People around you may not see it as a hurt, but it's a hurt. It has damaged certain things in you. The love that you should have from your parents were missing. The love, the warmth you should have developed in your life as an individual over the years is not there.
Mm.
So, first of all, you must go for, I would say, if you want to call it a therapy session, if you want to call it a healing session, whatever name you call it, that you must go and get yourself fixed, as it were,
Mhm.
to make sure that that love and that warmth is restored. You can't give what you don't have.
Mm.
You can't. You are not a magician.
No.
People are not magicians. So you can't give what you don't have. So you would first have to have that. And this is where our faith base comes in again. The one who created us can restore that back to us.
Mm.
I'll leave it at that junction, and maybe Jiva wants to say something on that too.
Well, one of the things is, yeah, to submit yourself to that kind of scrutiny. There are, of course, a number of people who are trained to offer the kind of help that you need, in this particular instance. And so, fundamentally, the main thing that a person has to do to overcome the hurts is to forgive the one that hurt them. And so when that is very evident, as in parents abandoning or rejecting, or someone being subjected to mental cruelty, somebody being put down all the time, you identify who they are. And in the process that we use, we allow the Holy Spirit, to remind someone. And so sometimes in those sessions, people will think about incidents that were like way, way back in their past, that they all of a sudden begin to realize, oh my goodness, that has actually impacted me and brought me to the place where I am right now. And so when they start forgiving the perpetrators, and in the Christian way, to forgive is actually a commandment. It's not an option. And so when you obey that command and you forgive, even when you emotionally are not really up to it, and that may be tough for some people to swallow. But when you choose to forgive, that's why we said it's a soul in a reaction or response, is the mind, will, and emotion. This is the will involved. You choose to forgive, then there's a freedom that comes to you, and that hurt now starts to be healed. It is not always an instantaneous healing, although some folks have experienced that, but you are beginning that process by forgiving. And so honestly, we often joke and tell people, really, the solution to all the stuff that you're carrying is, have you tried forgiveness yet?
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to go to a break. We'll see you again tomorrow. And on this forgiveness theme, we're going to come to you with the wisdom that these two guys can bring and all the help we can offer you. See you soon. Cheers.